got a lot to talk about today, guys, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Yeah, first of all, check out this awesome UFO video captured by John Bell of a Real Florida or Florida Real UFO. He takes these, he goes out every night capturing this stuff, and he gets amazing footage. Now, what we're looking at is slow down, or he was capturing it in his 4K telescope, this object, and he was going with a very slow frame rate to get as much light as possible. And he got what appears to be a lenticular UFO, or it's representing, it looks like a lenticular UFO going across the sky. But wait, there's more. Here's a video he made talking about zoom in and enhancement of this object.
This object was captured by me tonight as I set up my digital 4K telescope. Anyhow, I've segmented this object so you can see what it looked like up close, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty safe to say that that's not our craft. I mean, what the hell is this? It looks like something off an alien movie or something.
It really does. I mean, that is a funky looking structure there. Hard to know if that's what it really looks like, or this is how the camera was interpreting it. But that looks weird. I've never seen anything quite like that before. And I've seen, lenticular objects or fast moving objects that have been enhanced before, and, zoomed in, and, still images of those things. And I've never seen this weird lattice-like or rope-like structure. This, weird looking structure to whatever the heck this was. Fascinating stuff. A great capture from John. John also captured this stunning footage of the orb that comes to visit him frequently. He calls it Tinkerbell. And you can see the object, this low flying object interacting with him, coming very low. And you can clearly see that it's going between his camera and the tree line. So clearly a low flying object interacting with the light, being very playful, as Tinkerbell sometimes does. But even though Tinkerbell can look like a little mote of dust or something, or a little bug or something, Tinkerbell is very solid. And John has made previous videos where he's shown Tinkerbell making a noise, like a technological whirring noise. And at one point, Tinkerbell struck and rattled John's multi-ton truck, his military style truck. So it had weight and mass, even though Tinkerbell looks like this little phantasmal orby thing. Fascinating stuff, guys. I don't know how these objects work or what they do. Is this an other dimensional vehicle? What is Tinkerbell and other orbs like it? If you have any thoughts, let me know. Either way, another great capture from John, and definitely go check out his channel, Real Florida UFO. Meanwhile, as reported on by Ronnie Vernet, Virginia's City Hall has unveiled a 12-foot statue of the Virginia creature incident, signed by Renato. I'm not even going to give a stab at his last name, guys. Okay, just for your entertainment. All right. Terrace. The work stays true to the girl's testimony, with eyes only 3 times larger than human eyes, not the classical oversized gray alien we're used to seeing. And you get this Virginia alien sculpture. He's got pretty good abs there. But it looks pretty good. Looks pretty much like the Virginia alien, except huge. And kind of standing heroically, which and kind of built. I mean, he's been working out. I don't know. The Virginia alien images that we've seen to date are more frail and Gollum like. And also, I'm fascinated by this incident. It's an amazing incident. If you haven't seen James Fox's documentary on this incident, Moment of Contact, I highly recommend it. Great stuff. Fascinating case. Of course, in the end, the U.S. came in and swooped in and took the bodies in the craft. Sad, sad, but I think that's fairly commonplace. But what's really intriguing to me about this incident, other than it just being an amazing alien encounter, is the fact that there is a bust or a sculpture in the treasure trove of artifacts taken from the site where the Nazca mummies were found, supposedly, that show a being that is a dead ringer for the Virginia alien, even with a 3 crest on its head and everything. So, was there, some interaction between the Nazca beings and the Virginia beings? Are they one and the same? If the Virginia beings are coming from a ship, as apparently they are, could they have been the makers or associated with the makers of the Nazca mummies? I'd love to know an answer on that, guys. So let me know what you think. Meanwhile, debate over the new UFO video revealed by Eric Burleson at the UFO hearing, where we see a missile striking that object. Debate continues to rage over this. Ryan Graves is now saying, upon further review, it's conceivable the video is of a prosaic target struck by a missile. Chunks broke off, stabilized in the airstream, and began a parabolic descent that is generally aligned with the camera angle, making the target aspect change nearly imperceptible as it descends. If we had a longer video, we may see the components impact the water surface eventually. Without source details, I can't say more. Well, he says it's conceivable. He's not saying that's what he believes, but he is putting this idea out there and shedding doubt, publicly on this new video. So I think that's interesting and definitely worth talking about. UAP Reporting Center has a very different take. I will play part of the video they shared.
At first, from a distance, you would think, okay, following the strike from the Hellfire missile, it probably broke pieces off of the UFO, UAP, whatever it was. Here we're going in super, super tight. You can see I'm using a different format. It's turned the UFO black. It wasn't necessarily black. I'm not quite sure what color it was because primarily we were working with black and white footage the entire time. This format, however, did turn it black. I zoomed in as close as I could. The clarity remained pretty decent. I managed to increase the clarity just a little bit, but right there it is up close. And you're going to see the strike right there. Notice again what happens right there following the impact. Those things there, whatever they are, appear to have been knocked from the inside of this thing. And as you're going to see when we zoom in close, and you can tell right here, they're all the same size and same shape. Look at that. What are those things? Those are not just random pieces of debris. Those are some sort of intelligently designed objects. Here we go again, slow motion, zoomed in, there they are. And the primary UFO remained intact. It released 3 more smaller ones that ended up traveling behind it.
Yeah, it's a crazy case, guys. It doesn't look mundane to me. It doesn't look balloonish to me. All right, I'll go where the evidence leads, but I'm not seeing anything that has a mundane explanation here. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But the conversation doesn't end there. Merrick von Rennenkamp is saying the Yemen UAP, I guess that's what we're calling it now. 3 pieces of debris, identical IR signatures, appear to emerge from the object in succession. This is inconsistent with a kinetic strike ripping debris off of an object. It's almost like they were inside the UAP and emerged one by one. Indeed. Yeah, boom. And then, as you can see, they come out in succession. Yeah, the one object, the second object, and the third object. That is just super, super fascinating. He says this is inconsistent with a kinetic strike ripping debris off of an object. Also, I've been hearing more and more that Hellfire missiles are very rarely used for, air combat, to shoot at aerial vehicles, unless they're slow moving or stationary. So interesting. Merrick also says this. Yemen UAP. What are the odds that any three random pieces of debris are identical in size / infrared signature following a strike by an AGM 114 Hellfire missile? Seems like a statistical impossibility. Yeah, nothing about this is seeming easy to explain to me. I mean, if it's, NHI, I don't get it. If it's a balloon, I certainly don't get it. But let me know your take in the comments below. Oh, and it's worth noting here that Jeremy Corbell went to some trouble to vet the video. I'm quoting Jeremy Corbell from Joe Murgia. When I was authenticating this for Congress, because it was kind of a surprise to me that they had it, I got some Congress people on the phone with some of the Navy individuals who have a very close proximity knowledge to this event. And they were able to affirm that this Hellfire missile essentially bounced off of that thing. So it did not create an explosive impact. But again, the most critical part is what you're seeing these little objects after. They're described as not part of the missile. These are part of the UAP that then continued in controlled flight after the impact. So that's a head scratcher. And then he was asked, why would the missile target that object in the first place? And he goes on to say that, yeah, we shoot at UFOs. My question, since this whole thing has begun, is why did they fire at this particular UFO? They didn't fire at the Tic Tac, at the 2004 Tic Tac. They didn't fire at the Jackson Tic Tacs or the Omaha Orbs, the Flying Pyramids, or any of the other cases that we've heard about in the last few years and that video has leaked about. None of those were intercepted or brought down or attempted to be brought down. But the Yemen UAP was fired upon. Why? Was it because it was in a hotspot or something like that? Could that be the simple explanation? Maybe. I think that could be an explanation. On the other hand, maybe not. We do seem to be working with some beings from some UFOs than we have for a long time. And I say we, but of course I mean the UFO control group, who may not actually represent the rest of us, unfortunately. But they do seem to fire regularly at other UFOs. So is humanity engaged in some sort of proxy war between various factions of NHI? And has the control group chosen the right side? I'm not persuaded that they have. I certainly don't trust them further than I can throw them, and I can't throw them very far. So, let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about this new UFO video. I mean, I would love to see a lot more evidence and, analysis of this object. But at the moment, it's looking very anomalous to me and very, very compelling. Meanwhile, Wixie wants to know if this orb is following this raccoon. What's going on here, guys? We have this anomalous looking object here, possibly an orb. And we had that raccoon that was just walking by. I don't think it's related. I think the raccoon just happened to be there. That is really interesting. You see this orb, which seems to cast a reflection in the window, which would seem to indicate that it is not a bug, looking like something glowing. Here, I'm trying to get the reflection again. Yeah, right there. Right there, you can see the reflection in the window. Not a bug. Firefly would not maintain the light for this long. Then it goes up, then it comes down again, and then it appears to shrink in size before finally just kind of fading out as it goes into the tree. Is it a sprite that... okay, this is going to sound pretty woo, but is it a tree sprite? It came out of the tree and it's going back in the tree? I don't know, guys. Who knows? I'm just making that up. Let me know your thoughts on this really intriguing footage in the comments below. Meanwhile, Ross Coulthart talks Stargate.
Hi, just one question about tests. Had they contacted or planned to contact someone from Stargate, as those topics seem to me as similar or even the same?
Well, I mean, obviously, the people who ran Stargate are still, some of them are still alive. Hal Puthoff's still alive. Russell Targ is still alive. And I know a couple of other people who were involved in the Stargate program. Yes, I mean, I do agree. I mean, I think what Stargate shows is that the CIA particularly was willing to fund investigative research right back in the 1970s and 1980s into psychic so-called phenomena. And indeed, if you speak to the people, as I have done, it's quite clear from talking to Russell Targ in particular and Hal Puthoff that the program, the Stargate program, was not the failure that it has been represented to be by so many of the debunkers. It did, in fact, demonstrate valid, usable data. And indeed, President Carter himself acknowledged that there was a particular case that he'd been briefed about, which at the time was still classified, but which, because he as president spoke about it, was able to be declassified, and that involved the detection of a Soviet-era aircraft that had crashed in the African jungle that was detected by a remote viewer to within a few kilometers of its crash location, and it allowed the retrieval of that aircraft before the Russians could get to it. Now, I'm aware of other highly classified still in operations involving remote viewing, which to this day are still classified because they haven't been spoken about by a president. Hopefully Donald Trump might, as president, be willing to speak more openly about the ongoing PSI program that I do know exists inside the US government.
Okay, so Ross Coldart is aware of an ongoing PSI program within the government. I think that is fascinating. Of course, Stargate is, when the CIA was getting into remote viewing and developing the remote viewing programs. And I think it's a really interesting situation. That remote viewing is slowly gaining acceptance and credibility. People are acknowledging that this is legit. And of course it is. And I've talked about it many times on the channel. But in a way, I have a new thought on all of this. It's kind of ironic that people are now looking at remote viewing with new eyes because it was authenticated by the establishment, if you will, CIA, Stanford Institute, because they developed these protocols, and it was, done in a very scientific way. And so it's got, scientific cred now from the establishment. But originally, remote viewing and witchcraft and, all the other stuff, all the other abilities that we possess natively were suppressed by the establishment, in the form of the church. At least in the West. And yeah, I mean, with dire consequences, God help you if you displayed any of these native abilities that we all have. And so it was suppressed by the establishment for, centuries. But now, because it, things have changed, now it has the stamp of the establishment on it. And people are taking it more seriously. So, I mean, I guess that's good. Either way, things are turning and people are more and more coming to accept the reality of remote viewing and slowly of these other abilities as well. We're all Jedi, y'all. Last but not least, what happens when you give catnip to a Jaguar? Well, let's find out. It looks like he's doing pretty good there. It looks like he's doing good. Yeah, it looks like he's pretty chill. Okay, but wait. Hey, really gets into it. He likes that catnip, man. So let me know what you think about this amazing Jaguar loving his catnip and everything else covered in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. Facebook and Twitter links are all below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or by becoming a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Also, channel members frequently get to see videos hours ahead of everybody else. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.